Hey you guys, how's it going? Today I thought we would take a tour of the front porch garden that I've rebranded the Welcome Garden. It's been like a hot minute since we've been out here. I think the last time we did a tour was like spring, and it's changed so much since then as we head into fall. There's so much blooming, so many good things happening and some not good things happening. But let's take a little tour and I'll give you the 411. So it's been a little while since we've been out by the front porch, and look at how much it has changed. I mean, just a few short months ago, you know, we just had some daffodils popping up and a lot of ground cover. And now we are heading into late summer and fall. Got some nuts falling from the oak tree that actually just missed me. But we've got some beautiful blooms happening, and there's a lot of good happening in what I'm now calling the Welcome Garden. And there's also some not so good things happening in here, although you probably can't tell from this angle because we had some rabbit damage. So let's go through the good and then we'll end up with the bad, because it's the reality of gardening and I need to make some changes in this garden this fall. So to start with, we've got these gorgeous black-eyed Susans. I have to support them or they will fall over. So I've got some twine and some green garden stakes to kind of keep them upright. I got to it a little late this year, which is why they kind of don't look as natural. But hey, they're upright and you can walk along the path to get to my front door, so that's good. They are reseeding all over the place. So I did not have one here last year and I left it. I really should have dug it out because I don't love it there. I really kind of like a little bit more space around the walkway. So this is going to be coming out this fall and I will be relocating it in another area of my garden. I do have this beautiful sedum autumn joy. It is starting to bloom. I love sedum autumn joy. I've shared videos on this before and it's one of my favorite plants for the garden, one of my favorite perennials that just performs well year after year, easy to grow, and to me is like a 4-season plant. Anyway, I shared it in another video, so I'm not going to go all into it here. I'll just kind of link it above for you to check out or at the end of the video, so you can, you know, learn a little bit more about why I love it so much for 4-season color and interest. I've also got Gomphrena truffula pink. It's kind of wrapping things up for the year. I'm almost ready to change this out. It's a little cool this morning. It's really nice out, but it's a little cool. So fall is definitely on the way. My hosta's definitely showing signs of the end of season. I don't know what's going on here. I've got some spider webs and the foliage is starting to die back. It's a clear sign of fall. So, but you know, I love it. It's actually one of my favorite hostas here on the property. It gets a little too much sun. It's in full sun, so the foliage does get a little crispy. I should technically move it, but instead I've divided it and moved it elsewhere. I've also got a hardy hibiscus here that's done flowering and another rudbeckia that has reseeded here as well. I actually don't mind it there so much, to be honest with you. It doesn't really bother me. So I might keep that one there, even though it's kind of crammed in. But that one, I'm definitely moving. It's got to go. So that is the beginning of this garden. And let's just appreciate the view here for a moment, because I've got this gorgeous celosia. Now, I started those from seed in spring. They are all from Floret Flower Farm. So it's their varieties. And let me just tell you how tall they are. Even though it said on the seed packet it could be 4 to 6 feet tall, I was not really expecting it to be like 6 feet tall. So it's a little too tall here for my taste, because I really like to see the view out in the valley. But it's gorgeous. It looks amazing in bouquets and it's doing really, really well. I do have some other varieties here that just returned from prior years. So I don't know what they are. Actually, I don't know what varieties are. They were planted by the former homeowner, but these are all floret and it's just gorgeous. I love celosia this time of year, don't you? They look amazing in a bouquet. They dry really well and they just look so good in the fall garden. One of my favorites, really, and also very easy to grow. Easy to start from seed, easy to grow, and will forever be a staple in my garden. Here in my zone 6B garden, it does reseed and come back every year. So I'm curious to see what's gonna happen here, but I really wanna move these to the other end down there because I've got some ivy that I wanna remove, and I think I want all of this celosia to come back up over there. So I'm probably gonna be doing some replanting in the fall and see if I can make that happen instead of having it all come here, because this is just too tall for me. It's just too tall. I really like to see the view out in the yard. But anyway, so all the celosias doing well. I did have a whole border of supertunias. They've seen better days. I'm gonna be pulling them and planting them with pansies. Pansies do really, really well here, and they also will return in the spring. So for me, it's a great budget-friendly gardening tip to plant pansies in the fall. They overwinter and then they bounce back in the spring, so I don't have to plant them twice, so I save money. Some years, like last year, my supertunias were still looking really good, so I didn't pull them and I didn't plant pansies in the fall, so I wound up planting them in the spring. But I usually don't do that. I usually like to plant them in the fall because they come back in the spring so well here. I do have some snapdragons in here, but I think they're so overwhelmed by these celosias that they're just not doing a lot. And actually it's been kind of hot, so they're probably gonna start coming back, but wow, they're getting kind of crushed. I do have some ornamental onion here. This I did not plant. It was here before we moved in and it reseeded itself over there as well. I think I'm gonna have to dig that up because I don't want it there either. I do love it, but I don't want it there. I do have some diamond frost euphorbia in here, but that's also seen better days. Again, this just all has to get pulled and I'm gonna replant it with pansies. So my view of the front porch, I do have some sunflowers that I planted. And this happens every year, I plant sunflowers along every post of my porch and a rabbit gets to it. I tried, covering them and it just wound up digging underneath my cloche and eating them. So I actually have two, but one's falling over. So it's actually not doing so well. I had Gomphrena truffula pink planted all along there. Rabbit got to it, ate it all. So I really need to just rehab this to get some fresh fall color here. So I'll be doing that over the next week or so. It's definitely on my list of things to do because this is killing me. But we won't focus on that. We will focus on this side of the welcome garden. And as an aside, my lawn here has been having an issue. Last year we did a soil test because it was so bad and it needed phosphorus and more lime. And it's doing okay, but it's definitely on the struggle bus. So I think we've got to mow it a little higher, and I definitely want to do another soil test to kind of see what's going on. Let's see, we've got some more black-eyed Susans, and again, I've got celosia coming up. I believe this is vintage rose. I have to really look. I have them all mixed in together. And they're all so beautiful, and I grew so many different varieties of Florette's celosia. I mean, look at them. It's so pretty, isn't it? Really, really gorgeous. So, I do like to leave my coneflower heads. The birds have been snacking on them, so I don't pull them. I haven't deadheaded them. I've just left them because it's feeding the birds, and I like to do that. This celosia is really out of place. It's come back every year in this spot at the front of the garden, and it's because I guess the former homeowner had planted celosia here and it just kept receding and growing back. I really do need to pull it and I want to move it. I want to get that ivy out and move it so that it comes back on the other side, because I don't want this height obviously in the front of the garden. I would prefer it further back. So next year I got to be a lot better with moving it. Every year I say that and every year I leave it, and I did the same thing this year. So it is what it is. But from a distance, really, you don't notice it, right? You don't really notice it. So anyway, let's talk zinnias, because I love the color palette of zinnias that I have here. And it is a mix of Florette Flower Farms, precious metals, and I think Little Flower Girl and Dawn Creek Blush. But I've also got Uproar Rose and Senora, I think, from Johnny's that reseeded itself and came back. I did also plant Bennery's Giant Wine and a couple other goodies, but I really love the variation of pinks. It's so beautiful. It looks so good from down below. And I definitely want to replicate this aesthetic in the cut flower garden down there next year for sure. I loved the combination of these flowers. They just looked so pretty, and the colors and the pinks and everything. Really, really loved it. Really happy with this zinnia garden here. So I will definitely be replicating this next year. I'm taking notes, I'm putting it in my garden journal, and I am going to do this again next year because I love it. And down in my cut flower garden, the mood, the vibe is like a little muted, and the blooms are really gorgeous because I've got Precious Metals, Dawn Creek Blush, and Little Flower Girl down there. Really, really beautiful, but not as aesthetically pleasing to me because I'm missing the bright pink. So I really want to make sure I do that next year. So that's just a little aside, a little side note. I do have some yarrow in here. Rabbit was really getting to them, but they did bloom, they're done. And so I just have the green foliage. I've got my salvias in here. Some other, I think I planted this last year because that is like a smaller celosia and it must have returned. But I love when the celosia gets this like coral reef look to them. Isn't that so pretty? They look so gorgeous in a vase. I do have some bee balm in here. It's done. Euphorbia is still looking pretty good, but I'm definitely pulling all of the supertunias this year, and I think I'm going to do it this week because I'm kind of over it and I'm ready to bring on fall in this garden. So my pan over this way, you can see the rabbit damage, not looking good. I really want to get rid of barberry. I don't love barberries, they're invasive, and it blocks my view in from the front porch. I've got a beautiful abelia over here. I love this shrub. It's gorgeous. It blooms like summer to fall, gets a lot of pollinators. I see a lot of butterflies around here, and it looks great going into fall. So if you don't have one, check it out. I highly recommend it. I've also got more hibiscus back there. I've got a weigela here, and I do have a hydrangea here. It's not really doing well. I kind of moved it at the last minute. I'm definitely relocating it down to, I have a cottage garden down there that's new. So that's getting relocated, not staying here. I had dug and divided some yarrow that has seen better days. Again, look at the bunny damage. Like this, and I've just ignored this. I've just ignored this part of the garden. I was like spraying it and doing, and I just got so sick of doing it because there are just other areas of my garden that look good, and I was just like, you know what, have at it. So if the bunny's gonna eat that little section of the garden, I was like, fine, if you leave the rest of it alone, and it did. So that was my that was my strategy. It seemed to work, and you know, it's fine. So I did plant a sunflower here. Again, the other one's kind of fallen over, so I really need to stake that up. I've got whirlwind pink scaevola in the baskets. They're still doing pretty well. Although I have to say, I think I liked the angelonia that I had last year a lot better. I mean, I love fanflower and I really love it in pots, but I don't know. I really think I liked the angelonia last year. So next year I'm definitely going to do that again because I really liked it. And I definitely like pink. I definitely like pink in my hanging baskets. I just love the vibe. I've got some sedum autumn joy. My pots definitely need to be redone, so that's on my docket as well this week. And just to kind of bring you over, I've got some zinnias. Rabbit really did a number. I planted actually a lot of zinnias out here, and it just ate everything. Just ate everything. I hadn't sprayed it all yet. I will take you guys on a tour of my porch a different day, because on my porch this year, I did all houseplants. I didn't really do a lot of flowers, although I do have flowers in the copper pots. But I really didn't do that anywhere else. I really just moved my houseplants out here and they took up so much space. I really didn't need flowers. So they love being outside. They love the summer outside, and this gave them a great space to do that. So I'll take you on a tour of the porch another day. But I mean, they look so good, and they're thriving out here in New Jersey in the heat and humidity of summer. They will be going indoors probably by the end of the month, but they're doing so well, and I love them on the porch. So I think that's going to be what I do moving forward, is just doing my houseplants on the porches and just letting them be. So again, I've got these gorgeous summer blooming alliums. I do not know the variety. It was here when we moved in. It just mixes in among everything. I've got some baptisia that is done blooming and just kind of green. Got a lot of black-eyed Susans in here, and I mean, look at how many black-eyed Susans I actually have. Pollinators love them. The bees are just really, really going to town. I mean, I can hear them buzzing. You probably can't, but I can. But I'm really happy with the gardens this year. I mean, this is, there's some good and some bad, but I'm really loving how this looks. I really wish I could see the valley though. That really does kind of bother me. Love the blooms. Don't love how tall they got in this particular spot. I think it's great that they got that tall, but just not here. That's it for the welcome garden. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick tour, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me in the gardens. Enjoy a beautiful day.